The cost of buying a home, especially here in Ontario, isn't exactly cheap. If you're like most people, you've probably had to save up quite a bit of money over the years just to cover an acceptable down payment. In today's market, lots of buyers tend to fixate on the sale price of a home and rush into securing an offer without fully anticipating the cost of land transfer taxes, which, at the end of the day, can be a huge letdown. If you're curious to understand more about land transfer taxes, in this video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of what they are, how they're calculated, and what additional considerations to have when you're purchasing a property here in Ontario. What's up guys? My name is Chris Chu and I'm a real estate lawyer here in Toronto. On this channel, I'll be going over some useful information, insights, and tips about real estate law so that you can feel better prepared when tackling your next real estate transaction. So everyone, before we begin, I'm obligated by the Law Society of Ontario to let you know that the content made available on this channel is for informational purposes only. It is not, nor is it intended to replace legal advice, and does not constitute a lawyer-client relationship. So what is land transfer tax? Well, to put it simply, land transfer tax is the tax the government charges when a piece of property changes hands. In practice, each time someone sells a piece of property, the buyer will likely have to pay land transfer tax to the government. Land transfer tax is charged on the day of closing, so you'll need to make sure that you have enough money saved up and ready on closing day. Now, you're probably wondering at this point, how is land transfer tax calculated? Put simply, the tax is calculated based on the purchase price of the property. The tax rates increase based on a sliding scale. As the price of the property gets higher, so do the rates of taxes. That means that each threshold of the purchase price gets calculated at a different tax rate. As of 2022, the rates are anything up to 55K at 0.5%, anything above 55K to 250K is taxed at 1%, anything above 250K to 400K is taxed at 1.5%, anything above 400K to a maximum of 2 million is taxed at 2%, and anything above 2 million is taxed at 2.5%. Now, before we get into some examples of how land transfer taxes would apply to properties in Ontario and Toronto, I want to let you know that I won't be showing you the actual math calculation in this video. The last thing you'd want to watch is a lawyer doing math on YouTube. It's not a pretty sight. Just know that lawyers have software that accurately calculates the amount of land transfer tax due on closing, and you'll know that ahead of time. Now, if you're curious about how much land transfer taxes you could potentially be paying when buying a home, I've put a link in the description below to a free online land transfer tax calculator so that you can follow along in the examples that we're going to go through and also use this as a future reference point. So let's get into our first example. Let's say I'm buying a home in Mississauga for $700,000. According to the government's tax rates, I'd have to pay approximately $10,475 in provincial land transfer taxes. That is a substantial chunk of change. To make matters worse, if you're buying a property in the city of Toronto, the municipality charges an additional land transfer tax that follows the same tax rates that I had mentioned earlier for the provincial portion. So let's get to our second example. Let's say I'm buying a property for $700K, but this time it's in the Leslieville area in Toronto. In this case, the provincial taxes I'd be paying would be the same, $10,475. However, I'd also have to pay an additional $10,475 for the municipal land transfer taxes. That means the grand total of taxes I'd be subject to pay is a whopping $20,950 when buying a property for $700,000. Oh God, I'll never financially recover from this. So guys, before I get into the last point, which is super important if you're looking to potentially minimize the huge burden of land transfer taxes, make sure you hit the like button and post a question that you may have about land transfer taxes in the comment section below. I'll hopefully take some time out to do another video soon and answer any major questions you may have. Now, I'll give you a moment to scream into the screen or phone or TV or whatever you're using to watch this video. There's still some good news to potentially lessen the blow of being charged a ton in taxes. Firstly, under a very strict set of scenarios, you may actually be exempt from having to pay land transfer taxes entirely. That is, if you're transferring land between spouses or if you're transferring a piece of property to a family business. More importantly, however, if you're a first-time homebuyer, you may be eligible for a tax rebate of up to $8,475 if you fall within a very specific set of criteria. Now, I cover this topic in a separate video, so make sure to check that out. I'll post the link at the end of the video so that you can hop on that video if you're interested. So guys, there you have it. There's a brief summary of the land transfer tax regime here in Ontario and Toronto. Now, by no means should this video discourage you from buying a home. Not only are there exemptions or rebates that you may qualify for, but it's also worth noting that having a frank discussion with your real estate agent and a mortgage professional can enable you to find a suitable financial arrangement to make the purchase fit. On a practical level, you should also speak to your accountant, if you have one, to potentially assess your financial and tax position. Also, hiring a lawyer to flesh out the details of your transaction can also save you some headache, stress, and money ahead of buying a property. Now, if you guys have any legal questions that you want to speak to a lawyer specifically about, you can get in contact with me by visiting my law firm's website to set up an appointment. That's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys soon.